Hi, I'm Federico Botta and I'm Senior Lecturer in Data Science here in the Department of Computer Science at the University of Exeter. Imagine needing to see a doctor, but not knowing whether getting there is going to take you 20 minutes or an hour. Now, for many people in England, this may not just be an inconvenience, it may be an actual barrier to accessing healthcare. Our research highlights a critical but often overlooked aspect of transport equity, travel time variability, by which we mean the way the travel time changes depending on when you travel. Think about traveling at midday versus rush hour. Now, traditional studies usually assume an average travel times, but we all know that in reality, the amount of time a journey takes can vary depending on scheduling, but on things like traffic and cancellations, for instance. So let's first look at scheduling, so the way the timetable is designed. So we have collected the timetable of all buses in England, and we've calculated the travel times to hospitals and GPs across every single neighbourhood of England. What we find is quite interesting. Rural areas, but also interestingly, deprived urban neighbourhoods often have long travel times, but also highly variable ones, depending on what time of the day you're travelling. Something which may be a barrier for some people to accessing healthcare. But obviously, we all know that timetable only tell part of the story. What about what actually happens in reality? How long do journeys really take rather than how long they're meant to take? So we've been collecting a large data set on the GPS location of every bus in England, and we can use these to calculate actual travel times for how long people take or have taken to travel to certain places. And we can account for things like traffic, cancellations, and other disruptions in the operation of buses. And we think that this could be a much bigger problem than delays alone. So for instance, imagine that you're having to travel somewhere and the bus is meant to take 20 minutes. But it always takes 25. Now that is potentially annoying, but predictable. You can just account and plan for it. But imagine that instead, sometimes it takes 20 minutes, some others 30, 45, or even an hour. This is really unpredictable. So you can either risk being late, something which you may not be able to do for things like a healthcare appointment, or plan for the worst and risk arriving really early, something which some may not be able to do, for instance, if they have very rigid work schedules. And this unpredictability is something that we think could be a big barrier to using public transport. By analyzing real-time data, we aim to uncover the real impact of travel time variability on accessing things like healthcare, but also other services. And we hope that our findings will provide targeted, data-driven insights for policymakers to help them design smarter, fairer, and more equitable transport services. And we think that this is not just about transport, it's about having a sustainable, equitable, and fair access to services and opportunities for everyone.